Yudo Shuo, a young man from the 21st century, gets summoned to Yggdrasil, a past, chaotic world where people are always fighting wars over lands. Although he is a total stranger, Yudo becomes the patriarch of the Wolf clan. Being a patriarch means being the leader and having power over anything, including deciding who lives and dies. While facing the Horn clan on the battleground, Yudo uses a technique he had learned from the only thing he brought into this new world, his cell phone. The previous night, before the battle took place, Yudo had learnt about the phalanx formation. Now, on the battlefield, Yudo uses this same internet knowledge to lead his men to victory in the war. As soon as they get to the battleground, suddenly, a Horn clan Einherjar shoots a spear at Yudo. But Felicia, an Einherjar accompanying him, quickly catches the spear before it can pierce Yudo's chest. But the Horn army is not done as more arrows start coming towards Yudo. Felicia takes out a long red whip from her pocket and starts spinning it, sending all the arrows falling to the ground. After the Wolf clan has defeated the Horn clan, they capture their patriarch, a young girl named Linnea. On returning home, Yudo calls his childhood friend Mitsuki, who is in the present world. He assures her of his safety and promises her he will come back to their world. The next day, a ceremony is held for Yudo and Linnea. He officially makes Linnea his little sister by taking the Oath of Allegiance. With this oath, Yudo becomes bound to the Horn clan. After the oath ceremony, Yudo receives a message that a clan known as the Hoof clan has invaded the Horn clan territory. Yudo decides to help them despite opposition from some Wolf clan members. According to Yudo's instructions, Sigrun, an Einherjar and warrior from the Wolf clan, leads a cavalry known as the Muspel squad ahead of the Wolf army. They head straight to where the Hoof forces are camped and begin to attack them day and night. They made so many attacks that the Hoof army, including their patriarch, Ungbi, couldn't even sleep a wink without the fear of being attacked. Due to these multiple attacks, the Hoof army becomes exhausted. But the Wolf army, who are allowed to eat, drink and rest, are fully prepared for the war. On getting to the battlefield, the whole army is led by Ungbi, who rushes at the Wolf and Horn army from the left flank. Linnea and her army start to panic. Ungbi starts speeding toward them on his chariot and makes serious threats as he approaches. Yudo gives a command, and Sigrun and the Muspel squad come charging after Ungbi. Ungbi sees this and turns around to face Sigrun. As they clash, Ungbi uses his axe to push her off the horse. Before she can even stand up, Ungbi is already bringing down his axe to cut off her neck. In one swift move, Sigrun takes out her sword and slices his weapon into two. Then, she jumps high into the sky and, with one slash, sends the mighty patriarch falling. Ungbi dies surrounded by the pool of his own blood. Sigrun announces her victory over Ungbi, and the Wolf and Horn clan rejoices. As the Wolf and the Horn clan celebrate their victory, the patriarch of the Lightning clan, Steinthur, arrives unannounced. Apart from the fact that he wasn't even invited in the first place, he was responsible for the death of the Wolf clan's last patriarch, making him very unwelcome. But they cannot force him to leave because he came with a prestigious priest from the Asgar Empire. Rasmos, a Wolf clan member, points his sword at Steinthur after the latter insults him. Suddenly, he disappears, and when he reappears, standing beside Rasmos. With a mere flick of his fingers, he sends Rasmos' sword falling into tiny pieces. Everyone present is shocked by the kind of power Steinthur possesses. Linnea explains to Yudo that Steinthur is one of the 3 twin-runed Einherjar in Yggdrasil, which gives him the power to move so fast and destroy things easily. As he goes to meet Yudo, he insults Linnea and Sigrun, who try to stop him from getting to Yudo. This makes Yudo severely angry. Steinthur uses his power to intimidate Yudo, but he stands his ground. His lack of fear for Steinthur makes him take a liking to Yudo, but Yudo doesn't care. Steinthur promises to remember Yudo's name and leaves. The next afternoon, as Yudo is touring the market with Felicia, he comes across a slave trader trying to sell a mother and her daughter. He buys them to save them from being bought by a bad person. On returning home, twin daughters of the Claw clan's patriarch, Albertina and Christina, come to Yudo with a marriage proposal, but he instantly refuses them and asks them to leave. However, he changes his mind after discovering they are Einherjars with superb information-gathering abilities. It is after he proposes to make them his children that they reveal that the marriage proposal was only a test. He then asks the twins to bring him something to prove themselves. The next day, with the twins and Felicia, Yudo goes to Gimel, a city that used to be ruled by the Horn clan. He tries to teach the people new farming methods to improve their production, but they refuse to accept his advice because they don't know him. Linnea takes it upon herself to help him talk to the people, and as soon as she does, they accept the new farming method. Later that night, Linnea comes into Yudo's bedroom and begs him to sleep with her. Yudo almost gives in, but then he remembers Mitsuki. Yudo reveals that he is from another world, and someday he will have to return to his world to meet the girl he loves. Linnea expresses her wish for him not to return, as she doesn't believe she can be there for her people. But Yudo strongly believes and tells her she can become strong enough to lead and protect the Horn clan. Moreover, he promises to help her as long as he is in Yggdrasil. Despite what Yudo told her about having a crush and going home, Linnea makes him realize she has no intention of giving up on him. Just at that moment, one of the twins, Christina and Felicia, who had been eavesdropping, enters and announces that the Lightning Clan is preparing for war against the Wolf Clan. Yudo and his Einherjars deliberate on how they will win the war against the Lightning Clan. The battle begins with the Lightning Clan charging forward and the Wolf Clan firing their crossbows at them. The Lightning Clan's strategist and warrior, Pjalfi, engages in an intense duel with Sigrun, with Sigrun having the upper hand. Just as Sigrun is about to plunge her spear into his chest, Steinthur intervenes. He swings his Stormmaker at Sigrun, but the latter quickly dodges. She does her best to parry his attacks, but it gets too much and she retreats. Steinthur jumps right into the middle of the wolf army and, with vicious swings of his Stormmaker, scatters their phalanx formation. Yudo asks his men to retreat, but Steinthur isn't done with them yet. He tries to go after them, but Skarfir, an Einherjar from the Wolf Clan, stops him. Steinthur realizes he has met his match because not long into their duel, Skarfir pierced his skin with his spear. He leaves after telling Steinthur he has no interest in fighting him. Steinthur tries to go after the Wolf Clan, but Pjalfi insists he stay back and rest, so he sends his brother Ving after them. However, his brother ends up getting killed by Skarfir. Anger and hate for the Wolf Clan surge through him, and he goes after them with all viciousness and brutality. He catches up with them at the riverside, but he is again stopped by Skarfir. They engage in a short battle, after which Skarfir leaves and crosses to the other side of the river. Steinthur follows him, but on getting to the other side, he gets stopped by Felicia, Skarfir, Sigrun, and 4 Einherjars for the Horn clan. Still, the 7 are unable to defeat Steinthur. Steinthur starts to brag about his strength, but Skarfir laughs at him. Then, together with the others, he leaves Steinthur and his army at the riverside. Suddenly, Steinthur and his army get swallowed by a flood wave. Linnea had gotten people to build a dam and broke it as the Lightning Clan tried to pass. The army perishes in the water, but Steinthur survives. With Yudo's wealth of knowledge, he teaches the Wolf Clan smiths how to make glass cups, which end up being sold to increase the Wolf Clan's finances. Yudo decides to use the profits from the glass cup business to start schools for all children. One afternoon, while sleeping at his desk, Yudo dreams about when he hadn't become a patriarch of the Wolf Clan. In his dream, he recalls how Lopter, the previous patriarch's son, murdered his own father because he made Yudo the next patriarch. Seeing what he had done, Lopter fled the city. After Yudo wakes up from his dream, the twins tell him about a clan known as the Panther Clan stealing the Wolf Clan's technologies and knowledge. Yudo immediately realizes that the only person capable of this is the runaway prince, Lopter. The reason is that his rune allows him to copy any technology, whatever it may be. The next day, Yudo receives news that the Panther Clan has attacked the Horn Clan. He summons the army at once and asks them to prepare for war against the Patriarch Clan. On getting to the battlefield, the enemy's cavalry wastes no time attacking the Wolf Clan. The funny part is that they are attacking using the same tactic the Wolf Clan had used in the past. But the Wolf Clan also came prepared. One of the soldiers returns to Lopter and reports the situation, including the Wolf Clan army's technique. The soldier returns with more than 5,000 soldiers for a follow-up attack. This time, they round up the wolf army and attack their ranks. Lopter sees covered carts being pushed into the battlefield from the mountaintop where he is watching. He wonders if Yudo is trying to beg for his life by offering cargo to him. Only when the soldiers start to fire even more crossbows does he realize it is an ambush. The Panther Clan, now surrounded by covered carts, shoot their crossbows, but their arrows bounce right off the carts. On taking off the carts' covers, they get shocked when it reveals war wagons. From inside the war wagons, the Wolf and Horn Clan army start to fire their crossbows at the enemy. Hundreds of the Panther Clan soldiers lose their lives quickly. After seeing how badly the war is going for them, Lopter asks his witch wife, Sigyn, to cast a spell. She does, and for a moment, Yudo's hands and body begin to glow but stop after some seconds. As for the enemy soldiers, they all become berserkers without fear of death. Then, like zombies, they start walking toward the wagons. Even as the soldiers shoot at them, they don't stop. They pick up their fellow soldiers' dead bodies and throw them into the wagons as they go. The soldiers quickly dash out of the wagons while screaming with fear. At last, Lopter and Yudo meet. Yudo calls him brother, but Lopter tells him they aren't brothers anymore and brings his sword up to kill him. but Felicia gets in front of Yuudo. Lopter commands her to listen to her brother. Felicia replies that the only brother she has now is Yuudo. This angers Lopter and he raises his sword, but Yuudo blocks his sword before he can bring it down to harm his sister. Just then, Sigrun arrives on top of a camel, which scares Lopter's horses to run in fear, forcing his army to retreat. The Lightning and Panther clan agree to take the Oath of Chalice to gang up against Yuudo and his clan. In the present world, Mitsuki pays a visit to Seiya, Ruri's cousin with a doctorate in archaeology. Mitsuki thinks she may know something about Yggdrasil, so she tells her everything Yuudo has told her about the world he's presently in. After listening to Mitsuki's explanation, Seiya finds many similarities between Norse mythology and Mitsuki's story. Mitsuki then asks her if that means Yuudo is following Norse mythology, but she tells her that is not the case. Instead, she believes Yuudo may be forging an original Norse myth. Later that night, Mitsuki calls Yuudo and tells him about the things she heard from Seiya. After the call, Yuudo goes for a walk. He runs into the twins, Christina and Albertina, and they decide to walk with him. Just as they walk along a bar, they hear a thud and head into the bar to see a group of men harassing a young lady. What shocks Yuudo is that this young lady looks exactly like Mitsuki. On bringing her back home, Yuudo later discovers that the stranger that looks like Mitsuki is Sigurdrifa, the 13th divine emperor of the Holy Asgore Empire, and the ruler of Yggdrasil. But before they discovered this, she had introduced herself as Lifa of the Jarl clan. After her secret is out, she reveals to Yuudo and the others that she knows all about the secret magic Felicia had used to summon him to Yggdrasil. She tells him that the only person that can cast a spell to take him back home is Sigyn, the witch of the Panther clan. Sometime after the Wolf clan celebrated their new year, the Lightning clan suddenly began an attack on them without warning. Left with no choice, the Wolf clan also heads for the battlefield. On getting there, they use the war wagon tactic they had used with the Panther clan. However, as they start to shoot their crossbows, Steinthur whips out an umbrella made of iron and wards off all the arrows shot at him. He then spins the umbrella and throws it at the army in one of the wagons. This makes them cease shooting for a second, giving him the chance to break through the wagon forde. Yuudo orders his army to change its formation. With this new formation, the Wolf clan surrounds the Lightning clan and attacks them from the left, right, and rear. But just as the Wolf clan starts to defeat the Lightning clan, the Panther clan arrives with a whopping 10,000 cavalry. Meanwhile, Steinthur and Sigrun are engaged in an intense fight. Skarfir comes to her aid only to be pushed off the mountain by Steinthur. Now alone with Steinthur, what will determine whether she lives or dies is if she can defeat the patriarch of the Lightning clan or not. With the Panther clan attacking like wounded lions, things are no longer looking good for the Wolf clan, and the Wolf clan is beginning to look scared and discouraged. Seeing this, Yuudo heads to the front line for the first time ever. He tells his men not to give up as they still haven't lost the war. Yuudo's words and seeing him on the front line give the soldiers the morale boost they need to fight. But Yuudo's charisma only angers Lopter further, so he promises to give whosoever captures Yuudo a reward. Meanwhile, the fight between Sigrun and Steinthur is still ongoing. Sigrun uses the top of his Stormbreaker to push her to the ground. He tells her he's done with her and starts to leave. But Sigrun gets back up and falls into a stance as she prepares to use a sword technique Yuudo taught her. Once again, Steinthur recklessly charges at Sigrun. But with this technique, Sigrun slashes his middle and defeats him, forcing him and his men to retreat. The battle is now in the Wolf clan's favor on the main battlefield. Lopter then tells his witch wife Sigyn to cast a spell on all the soldiers so that he can get to where Yuudo is. Sigyn starts a spell song and all the soldiers stop moving, allowing Lopter to get to Yuudo's side of the battlefield. Like the last time, he attempts to kill Yuudo but Felicia blocks his attack. So he pushes Felicia away and goes for Yuudo. Yuudo pulls out his sword and blocks Lopter's attacks with it. In the blink of an eye, Yuudo grabs hold of Lopter's midriff and pushes him against a rock. Lopter's head lands on the rock with a bang and he loses consciousness. Then Sigyn casts a spell to release Yuudo from Felicia's secret magic. Just like the last time, he starts to glow. Then he starts fading. He quickly gives Felicia his cell phone before completely disappearing. In the present world, Mitsuki returns from school and sees the last thing she's expecting, Yuudo standing in her room. After getting over the shock of seeing Yuudo again, she runs into his arms and hugs him tightly. Back in Yggdrasil, Lopter is severely angry at Sigyn for sending Yuudo back as he had wanted to kill him himself. The same information reaches Steinthur and he is equally as irritated. Sigrun goes to war after hearing that the Panther and Lightning clans have come together to attack them. After seeing everything happening to the Wolf clan, Lifa reveals that she can bring Yuudo back to Yggdrasil. Felicia finally gets in touch with Yuudo through his phone. She tells him of the Wolf clan's defeat by the Panther and Lightning clan. On hearing this, Yuudo asks if she could summon him back. She tells him only Lifa can. Mitsuki asks Yudo if he wants to return to Yggdrasil and replies in the affirmative. Mitsuki shocks him by telling him she is going with him. At first, Yudo refuses, but after she confesses her feelings for him, Yudo agrees to take her back but only on one condition: Mitsuki must marry him. She accepts his proposal, and together they return to Yggdrasil. This is all for this anime. Give the video a like, and I will see you in the next minutes.